Okay, so you ever get that feeling, like you're constantly running on fumes, just completely stretched thin?
Yeah, totally. Like you're juggling a million things, work, life, family, everything. And it all just kind of piles up.
Exactly. And you're just wiped no matter how much sleep you get or how much coffee you drink.
Right. It's like more than just being tired. It's deeper than that.
Yeah, like something's just dot off.
Exactly.
And that's actually what we're diving into today, that feeling, burnout.
We're going to really get into it today.
Yeah.
Go beyond just like the basics.
Yeah. We're not going to just tell you to take a vacation and call it a day. This is about really understanding burnout.
We're talking about figuring out what it is, how it sneaks up on you, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it.
Right. Like, how do we actually get back to feeling like ourselves, and how do we avoid getting to that point of burnout in the first place?
We're going to give you some real practical stuff to try, so you can start feeling better and stay feeling better.
And to help us do that, we've been digging into some really fascinating resources. These resources kind of lay out the whole burnout thing, and they give us some, actual ways to tackle it.
Yeah, really interesting stuff.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is burnout, and how is it different from just your everyday stress?
So burnout is basically a state of total exhaustion.
Oh, yeah. I think we've all been there.
But it's not just physical. It's emotional and mental, too.
Right. Like your whole system is just fried.
And it happens when you're dealing with stress for a long time, or when the stress is just overwhelming.
So it's not just like, oh, I had a crazy week at work. It's more than that.
Exactly. It's more about this constant feeling of being under pressure, like nonstop.
Okay, so it's more like chronic stress.
Yeah, you could say that. It's like you're always withdrawing energy, but you never get a chance to, make a deposit. So you're running on empty.
Makes sense. So how do you know if what you're feeling is actually burnout and not just, a rough patch? What are the signs?
Well, one of the biggest ones is just feeling constantly tired. And I mean really tired.
That's a familiar feeling. But what makes burnout tiredness different?
Yeah, it's not just like you're sleepy. It's this deep exhaustion that doesn't go away, even if you sleep for a week.
Okay, so even when you're getting enough sleep, you still feel totally drained.
Yeah, no matter how much you rest,
Yeah.
you just never feel fully recharged.
Ugh, that's the worst. What else?
Another big sign is losing your motivation. You just don't feel like doing anything, even things you used to enjoy.
Right, even simple stuff feels overwhelming.
Exactly. Even getting out of bed can feel like climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah, I've definitely been there.
You might also start getting really irritable and frustrated easily. Like little things that wouldn't normally bother you suddenly set you off.
Oh, yeah. Like suddenly you have zero patience for anything.
Right. And that's because your emotional reserves are totally depleted.
Okay, so we've got exhaustion, lack of motivation, and feeling super irritable. What else should we be looking out for?
You might also start feeling kind of detached from your work, your relationships, your hobbies, everything.
See, you're going through the motions, but you're not really present.
Yeah, it's almost like you're watching your life from a distance.
Wow, this sounds really lonely.
It can be. And it often goes hand in hand with having trouble concentrating. You just can't focus on anything. Your brain feels foggy.
Like you can't remember what you had for breakfast.
Yeah, like that. And you're forgetful. You can't think straight.
Brain fog is the worst.
And then on top of all that, there are usually some physical symptoms too.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Things like headaches, trouble sleeping, muscle tension.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And sometimes you even get sick more often because your immune system is weakened.
Okay, so if any of this is sounding familiar,
Mm-hmm.
If you're ticking a bunch of these boxes, what's the first thing you should do?
I think the most important thing is just to admit that you might be burned out.
Okay, so just acknowledge it.
Exactly. Just say to yourself, okay, this isn't just a bad week. Something's not right.
That sounds hard.
It can be. But it's so important because you can't really fix something until you admit there's a problem.
Okay, I get that. But once you've, admitted it, what then? How do you start dealing with burnout?
Well, the first step is figuring out what's causing it.
Okay, get to the root of the problem.
Exactly. Is it your job, your family? Are you just putting too much pressure on yourself?
So, do a little self-reflection.
Yeah. Once you know what's burning you out, you can start making changes.
Right, because if you don't know the cause, it's harder to find the solution.
Makes sense, right?
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
So let's say you've figured out what's contributing to your burnout. Now what?
Now it's time to prioritize rest, really prioritize it.
Okay, that sounds nice in theory, but how do you actually do that when you're already so busy and stressed?
You have to make it non-negotiable. Schedule it in your calendar if you have to. But make sure you're getting enough sleep, taking breaks throughout the day, and doing things that help you relax.
Like what kinds of things?
Whatever works for you. Taking a walk, reading a book, listening to music, taking a bath. The important thing is that it's something you enjoy and that helps you de-stress.
Okay, so it's about taking time for yourself without feeling guilty.
Exactly. And you also need to start setting boundaries.
Yeah, I know. Everyone always says that. But how do you actually do it, especially when you're a people pleaser?
It's tough, but it's crucial. You have to learn to say no to things that will drain you, even if it's something you want to do. And you need to be okay with disappointing people sometimes.
So, like, protect your time and energy.
Yeah. Think of it as self-preservation. Because if you don't take care of yourself, no one else will.
Right, that's true. And if you don't have any energy left for yourself, you won't be able to help anyone else either.
Exactly.
So we've talked about rest and boundaries. Anything else that can help with burnout recovery?
Well, try to remember the things you used to love doing.
Oh, yeah, hobbies and stuff.
Exactly. Burnout can kind of make you forget about all the things that make you, you. So try to reconnect with those activities, even if you don't feel like it at first.
Right, like sometimes you have to, force yourself to have fun.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But once you get started, it often brings back some of that joy and energy you've been missing.
Okay, so hobbies are a good thing. What about, talking to someone about how you're feeling?
Oh, that's huge. Talking to a friend, a therapist, a family member.
Yeah.
Anyone you trust. Just getting those feelings out can make a big difference.
It's like taking a weight off your shoulders.
Exactly. And sometimes just having someone listen can make you feel less alone.
Right, like sharing the burden makes it lighter. So we've got resting, setting boundaries, getting back into hobbies, and talking to someone. What about our physical health?
Oh, yeah, that's super important too.
Yeah.
What you eat, how much you move, how much water you drink. It all affects how you feel mentally and emotionally.
Okay, so taking care of your body helps take care of your mind.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier that it's better to make small, gradual changes rather than trying to change everything at once. Why is that?
Because it's more sustainable.
Okay, I get that.
If you try to change everything at once, you're more likely to get overwhelmed and give up. But if you make small, gradual changes, it's easier to stick with them.
Right, it's like building new habits slowly.
Exactly. And don't forget to be patient with yourself. Recovery from burnout takes time.
Okay, good reminder. So it's okay if it doesn't happen overnight. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about preventing burnout in the first place. What are some things we can do to avoid getting to that point of exhaustion?
One of the biggest things is learning to manage your workload.
Easier said than done.
I know, but it's so important. You have to learn to say no to things, delegate tasks when you can, and prioritize what's truly important.
So be realistic about what you can actually handle.
Exactly. And schedule in some downtime. Just like you'd schedule a meeting or a doctor's appointment, block out time in your calendar for rest and relaxation.
Treat it like a non-negotiable appointment with yourself. I like that.
Yeah. And make sure you actually disconnect from work and technology during that time.
Okay, that one's tough.
I know. But constantly being connected to your phone and email keeps your brain in overdrive. So make sure you're taking breaks from screens.
So no checking work email after hours.
Ideally, yeah. And even small things like taking 5 minutes to do some deep breathing exercises or stretching can make a big difference.
Little things to help de-stress throughout the day.
Yeah, exactly. And don't underestimate the importance of a good work-life balance.
Oh, man. Work-life balance.
It's so important to have clear boundaries between your work and your personal life.
I mean, I know it's important, but how do you actually do that?
It takes practice. But things like setting specific work hours and sticking to them, leaving work at work, and making time for things you enjoy outside of work can really help.
Right, so that when you are at work, you're more focused and productive. And then when you're not at work, you can actually relax and recharge.
Exactly.
Okay, so we need to set boundaries between work and life. What else?
Make sure you're nurturing your relationships. Spending time with people you care about is a huge buffer against stress.
So, make time for friends and family.
Exactly. Even if it's just a quick phone call or video chat.
Just staying connected.
Yeah. And lastly, learn to listen to your body.
What do you mean by that?
Pay attention to the signs that you're getting stressed or overwhelmed.
Like those early warning signs we talked about before.
Exactly. If you start noticing those signs, take a step back and do something to take care of yourself.
So don't wait until you're completely brained out to do something about it.
Right. It's much easier to prevent burnout than it is to recover from it.
This has been like a really eye-opening deep dive into burnout. It's so much more complex than I think a lot of people realize.
Yeah, it really is. And it's so important to talk about it because it affects so many people.
And the thing that really sticks with me is that burnout isn't something you just have to live with.
Exactly. There are things you can do to prevent it and to recover from it.
Right, like it's not a life sentence.
And self-care is so important. Like, taking care of yourself shouldn't be a luxury. It should be a priority.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel guilty about taking time for themselves.
I know, but it's not selfish. It's essential.
Totally. So, as you're thinking about everything we've talked about today, I want to leave you with a question. What's one area of your life work, personal commitments, whatever, that you think could use a little more attention in terms of these strategies?
Right. Like, what's one small step you can take today to start taking better care of yourself?
And don't be afraid to reach out for help. There are so many resources available if you're struggling.
Therapists, support groups, online communities. There are so many people who understand what you're going through and want to help.
So take care of yourselves out there. And thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
We'll see you next time.